There are a few different accounts of times where life triumphs over death in the Bible itself, in the Hebrew Bible. I'm not talking about the New Testament, because the New Testament has Jesus's resurrection, and that's a whole other thing. Or maybe not, but since I know the Hebrew Bible better, I'll get to work on that. 3 instances in the Bible where life beats death, right? Where death is sort of cheated. The first one is Enoch, Hanoch, the son of Yared, in the 7th or 8th generation since man, something like that. It says that Hanoch was taken. God took him. It doesn't mention him dying. The second time is Elijah's ascent into heaven, which I will now get a bit more into. The third time is when Elisha, his apprentice, is already dead, and a man is being lowered into Elisha's grave to be buried next to him. He touches the bones of Elisha, the prophet, and boom, he is resurrected. Not Elisha, but the man who was buried next to him. The second thing, Elijah's ascent into heaven, is an amazing thing. And I'm not talking about heaven as in the afterlife. I'm talking about the heavens, right? The sky. Elijah ascends into the sky in a chariot of fire, in a whirlwind. And Elijah is known as the angel of the covenant. After he was taken, our sages teach us that he was sort of transformed, if you will. And still to this day, our traditions teach us that Elijah is there at the Covenant of Circumcision of every Hebrew male which is being circumcised, right? At 8 days old, or later, depending on the case. There is the Covenant of Circumcision, and Elijah is said to appear and to sort of make an appearance, to show up at every bris, at every circumcision. And there's a deep idea here, where Elijah represents the covenant, right? He goes for 40 days and 40 nights, and he hears the voice of God. There's a lot of similarities there between the assembly at Mount Sinai, where the Torah was brought down into the physical earth, and Elijah's life and his eventual ascent into the heavens. And I feel that the reason why Elijah is said to ascend into the heaven, it's not like Enoch where he was taken, or this other guy that was resurrected. It's somebody who didn't die, and who it's said was taken away in a whirlwind. Because, and this is how I feel about it, the covenant never dies. This is a very, very fundamental idea. Because a lot of times, the Torah, the Bible, doesn't deal with the afterlife, doesn't deal with what happens after you die, and doesn't deal even with the world to come, right? After judgment and all that. And I feel that's because we are given a mission and a task, a purpose in this life. The other, afterwards, whatever it happens, whatever happens, happens. All we know is what we behold here and what we use our 5 senses for, our body, our vessel, our tool, our container. And once it's gone and the soul and the spirit, right, exits, that's it. But Elijah was taken away and later on brought back. In the book of Malachi, I believe, it's said that Elijah will be sent again before the coming of the Lord. I mean, the covenant never dies. Again, it's going back to that idea of the tree of life, which was not forbidden, but only sort of guarded after the fall from grace and the expulsion from paradise, from Eden. So Elijah, the angel of, the prophet of covenant, the angel of the covenant, the messenger of the covenant, still lives. And he lives in the circumcision of every male who is circumcised according to the covenant of Abraham, and he lives in every female who holds on to that tree of life. Now, the physical covenant of circumcision is a different issue, and I'll get into it another time, and it also has to do with this week's Torah portion, where Abraham receives the circumcision, the covenant of circumcision, and performs it. So the covenant never dies. Elijah goes up in a whirlwind, in chariots of fire, and he comes back, so to speak, not in physical form quite yet, but as an angel, as a messenger, as an idea that the covenant never dies, and that we should hold on and embrace the tree of life in our day-to-day, in every action, in every commandment we fulfill, and in the mindset that we have as we approach the world. Let's have a wonderful day.